And come to a comfortable seated position. Take a seat on your mat, on a blanket, on a cushion, on a chair. Let your seat be comfortable. And the other thing we've been practicing is our mudra, the right hand up, left hand down, interlocking the fingers. Let that rest in your lap. Start to shift your torso back and forth, side to side. Just see if you can find center. Feel your jaw soften, your shoulders relax, your elbows kind of resting at the side body. And this is a mudra for strength to be who we are, to do the thing that is hard to do. To live our lives with integrity. Integrity, I think of as being whole, so being truly who you are, no matter what culture says or what other people around you say, being true to who you are. In that way, you are whole. And start to become aware of your breath. Breathing in through the nose. Out through the nose. Begin to feel your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body arrive here into this place, into this time. And let's take 5 breaths right here. Once you complete your next exhalation, let your chin draw into your chest, let your mudra release, and nice and slow begin to circle out the head in one direction. We'll go about 8 rounds in this one direction, circling out the head. So let it be big or small, let it be your own. Noticing how your neck feels. One more circle in this direction. Pausing through center. And then inhaling when you're ready. Start to find that opposite direction. Circling out the head, choosing your own pace. Feel free to pause anywhere that needs a little bit of extra time. One more time in this direction. Let the chin draw back down towards the chest. Take a breath into the back of the neck. Breath out. And then right here from the seated position, let's take the legs wide. And still you can elevate your sit bones on your cushion. You don't have to move off of that. Take the fingertips to the back of the head, elbows wide. See if you can continue to relax the shoulders. And then start to tip your elbow off to the right, off to the left. Waking up that side body, just checking in with QL muscles, quadratus lumbarum. Those are the low back muscles. A little bit of oblique, side waist. So nice and slow. And find, again, just your own range of motion. So the elbow might touch the mat. It might hover above the mat somewhere. You might just be moving a few inches side to side. And one more time in each direction. And then release your arms. If you're sitting on a bolster, you might move that off to the side. Let's come to child's pose, but let's make it an active child's pose. So when I say active, I mean curl your toes under. So you get a little bit of sensation at the feet. And when you stretch your arms forward, press down through the palms of the hands, lift your forearms, your elbows, your biceps, but let the head relax. So the feet and the hands are really active in this child's pose. Take a breath in, send it to the back body. Breath out. Inhale, pull yourself forward, keeping the toes curled under. Keep inhaling, let the belly draw down, pull the heart forward. So you're making a little bit of a back bend shape. And then exhale, press in your hands, start to round the spine towards the ceiling, and then begin to lift the hips here too. So you're coming into down dog. Let yourself arrive and settle into down dog for an exhale breath. Inhale forward, bring the knees back down. Keep the toes curled under, send the hips back to the heels. Find once more that active child's pose. So let the forehead rest, keep the hands, the feet active. Inhale, pull yourself forward, find that little bit of a back bend. Exhale, press into your hands, lift your hips up, down dog. And try that twice more on your own. So you're shifting forward, just a real brief pass through high plank, setting the knees down, hips to heels for that active child pose. When you're ready to take an inhale breath, that's when you would come forward to some kind of a back bend. So you might start to drop the hips a little bit, or you might just come through that cow-like shape. And then your exhale breath, downward facing dog. So try it again once more on your own. And once you make your way back to that downward facing dog the next time, pause there, stay there. So this time in down dog, start to pedal out through the legs. You can bend the knees right and left. Let it be a little bit more loose. Let yourself kind of explore where you're placing your hands and your feet. Maybe even move the head right and left, yes and no. Next inhale, breath, shift forward, find that high plank shape. Pause in your high plank, press the floor away with your hands, with your feet, slightly round the upper back. Stay for one more inhale. And then set your knees down, tabletop. The knees set down, take that right leg straight out to the right side, and then stand up on your left knee, your right foot's out to the side like a little kickstand. Right hand's resting along the outer right leg. Inhale, sweep that left arm high, and then reach beyond the head so you're reaching towards the right foot. Deep breath in here. And on your breath out, left hand plants underneath the shoulder or a little bit above the shoulder. Let that right leg lift, kind of like a little teeter-totter. And then let the right leg lower and let the right leg lift. Anything you want to do with this right hand is totally fine. You can lift it up in the air. You can let the hand rest on the waist. And now we'll play with this transition towards bird dog. So we'll swing that right hip, right shoulder to face the floor. Right palm plants and the left arm extends alongside the head. The exhale, left palm plants, right hip, right shoulder peel open, right arm lifts. So the right leg staying lifted this whole time. We're just playing with transitioning shoulders and hips open and closed, and the left arm's going to stretch forward when the right hand comes down to the mat. So try that a few times. Replant the left palm, open the right shoulder, the right hip, lift through the right arm. Exhale, square shoulders and hips, place the right hand down, stretch the left arm forward. Try that twice more. It's okay to feel wobbly and kind of lose your balance. That is kind of the point. Let's bring both those knees back to the mat, come back to a tabletop shape. Extend your left foot out to the side. Same thing, second side. So you're standing up on your right knee, your left foot's out to the side like a little kickstand, left arm down, right arm this time reaches up and overhead. So add a little bend to that right side waist, reaching the right fingertips towards your left foot. Big breath in here. And on your breath out, that right hand, plant it nice and slow underneath the shoulder, slightly above it as your left leg lifts. And then just practice lifting and lowering that left leg. Check in with your breath, what's happened there with that Ujjayi breath. Can you still feel it and hear it at the back of your throat? And let's add that rotation, that bird dog rotation. So left palm underneath left shoulder, rotate hips to square. Extend the right arm forward. Replant that right palm, roll the left shoulder, the left hip open. And then just try moving in between these two shapes. So there's no rush, keep it slow. And maybe you start to add that movement to breath pattern. So it's like maybe you move on an inhale and pause on an exhale. And try it twice more. Let's come back to that left knee down, both hands planted, curl the toes under. One more time through our active child's pose. So move the hips back towards the heels, press through the palms of the hands, but stay lifted through elbows. Breathing in, pull yourself forward, find that back bend of your choice. Breathing out, curl the toes under, or they should already be curled under, but just check that. Lift the hips up, down dog. Couple of breaths in here. From down dog, inhale, extend your right leg up and back. And your exhale, shift forward, find that three-legged high plank, and then sweep your right toes out to the right side, let the toes tap down. So very similar to what you just did, except for your left knee is lifted. Now this time, press into your hands, move the hips back up and sweep that right leg back up towards the ceiling. Now sweep the right thigh on top of the left hamstring and let that leg get really heavy. Let the left heel get heavy. So this right leg, you could imagine it's kind of like a paintbrush. When you inhale and sweep that right leg back up towards the ceiling, you're creating this big, broad brush stroke. Continue, shift forward, right foot taps wide out to the right side in that high plank variation. Pressing into the hands, lift the hips back up, sweeping the right leg skyward, and then off towards that left leg. So that right thigh gets heavy on top of left hamstring. Left heel gets heavy. Try this shape a few more times. And let that right foot be kind of the guide. When you come forward into that high plank variation, try not to dump into the hips and the low back. Keep pressing into the hands. So maintain that integrity through the spine. Try it once more all the way through. And then once you've completed that last round, set the right foot back down, downward facing dog. Shift forward into a high plank. Set the knees down, set the belly down. Walk the hands back towards the ribs, so you're coming into your first low cobra. Press down into the palms of your hand, the tops of your feet, inhale, low cobra. So keep the elbows bent here, pull the heart forward and through the shoulders. Deep breath in. Breath out, release that. Curl the toes under here. Let's make a pass through that active child's pose, hips back to the heels. Toes curled under. Inhale forward. If you like, you can find that little back bend. Exhale, let the hips rise, down dog. Second side, inhale, left leg sweeps up and back. On your exhale, shifting forward, that three-legged high plank with that left toe tapping out wide to the left side. Sweep that left leg high towards the ceiling. Left thigh on top of right hamstring. Let that leg get heavy there for a moment. And then continue making these brush strokes with your left foot up towards the ceiling, wide out to the side. Let it tap the floor. Sweep it back up. And sweep that thigh across the hamstring. Try it twice more. Again, finding that breath to movement cadence. Maybe you're moving on an inhalation and you create a slight pause on an exhalation. Good. So once you've completed this last round, make your way back to downward facing dog. Take your time. Shift forward into high plank. Pause there. From your high plank, set your knees down. This time come onto your forearms. And then set your forearms so that they're just as wide as your shoulders. Walk your feet back into a forearm plank. Take both of your heels off to the right so you're in this kind of twisted variation of forearm plank. Take a full breath in. And breath out, heels back up towards the ceiling. And then heels off to the left. Notice what's happening to the head. If it's kind of drawing down into the arms, reach the crown of the head forward without cranking on the back of the neck. Lift those heels back up towards the ceiling. Set the thighs, the knees, the belly down. Arrive into Sphinx. In your Sphinx, pull a little bit with your fingertips towards the top of the mat. Inhale, lift the chin up. Exhale, curl the chin in. And try that twice more. Inhale, lift the chin up. And curl the chin in. One more time. Walk the hands underneath the shoulders. Curl your toes. You can choose to continue to pass through that active child pose, or from here on out, you could press all the way up to down dog. So just know that you have those options. Last little bit of prep work, and then we'll start to really flow and move. So from down dog, inhale, extend your right leg up and back. On your exhale, shift forward, bend your right knee towards your left elbow. And then already start to pivot your left foot so the inner edge of the left foot's coming down to the mat. Extend your right leg through. So we're threading the leg like I demonstrated at the beginning of class. And then you can start to lower that right hip a little bit more towards the floor without letting it touch. Reach the left arm back. As you inhale, press into the legs, lift the hips up, sweep that left arm overhead. And then as you exhale, let the hips lower a little bit. Left hand reaches towards the left foot. Inhale, press through the feet, the hand, lift the hips, sweep the arm long. So try that twice more. Nice and slow. And now left palm plants again. Rotate your way back to downward facing dog. So just get out of that in any way that makes sense for your body. Take 2 deep breaths here in down dog. Inhale, extend your left leg up and back. Shifting forward, left knee towards the right elbow, and then extend that left leg all the way through. You're rolling to the inner edge of your right foot. Your base is your left hand and both feet. Let the hips draw down towards the mat just a few, little bit without letting it touch. Right hand stretches back towards the right foot. As you inhale, press through the left hand and both feet. Sweep the right arm long overhead. Lift the hips up. And then exhale, just kind of lift and lower the hips with that movement of the right arm. Twice more. One last time. Let that right palm plant. Rotate your feet back to down dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Begin to walk your hands back to meet your feet. So you're walking your hands to the back of the mat to meet your feet. Come into your first forward fold and let your forward fold be a little bit more wide. So take your feet to the outer width of the hips. Bend your knees right and left. Sway your body side to side. You can grab your opposite elbows if you choose. Keep relaxing the head. If you have opposite elbows, switch out that grip so opposite forearm is now in front, and see if that changes that sensation at all. So let's start to walk the fingertips up the shins. Take a big full breath in, find a halfway lift, pressing into your feet. Feel your shoulders lift at least as high as your hips. Squeeze your shoulders together on your back. Exhale, fold back in. Again, fingertips walk up to the shins, lengthen out through the spine. Keep that, take the hands to the waist. Nice long neck pressing into your heel bones. Come all the way up to standing from here. Big full breath in, stretch the arms out wide, reach them up and overhead. Exhale your hands to your heart. Another half salute. Inhale, arms stretch wide and up. Exhale, fold all the way in. Fingertips towards the floor. Relax your head, Uttanasana. Inhale, fingertips to the shins, lengthen out through the heart. Hands to the waist, pressing into your feet, stand up nice and tall. Arms wide, reach them out and up. Exhale your hands to your heart. Big breath in, arms reaching back up towards the ceiling. Big breath out, fold in, Uttanasana. From Uttanasana, bend your knees enough to plant your palms, step your way into high plank. Not high plank, down dog. Step your way into down dog with your hands. Pause there for a moment, big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale, sweep the right leg up and back. Take your right leg, right ankle, cross it on top of left Achilles tendon and cinch up those inner thighs. So squeezing the inner legs together so that there's no gaps anywhere. Keep that. Right ankle on top of left heel. Shift forward into high plank. You're keeping the crossing of the ankles, so you're rolling the hips to the right and you're coming into the inner border of the left foot. Your right hand is the base as the left arm sweeps up towards the ceiling. Deep breath in. Breath out, left hand down. Keep the crossing of the ankles as you lift the hips up and back, down dog. Now uncross the ankles, normalize that down dog. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. Exhale, left leg crosses so that the right or left ankle is on top of the right heel or right Achilles tendon. You're squeezing your legs together. The inner borders of the legs are touching. Keep that. Shift forward into high plank. Keeping a crossing of the ankles, so you're rolling the hips to the left. You're coming to the inner border of your right foot and sweeping the right arm up towards the ceiling. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. Bring that right palm back down. Square the hips. Lift the hips, down dog. Uncross the ankles, normalize your down dog. Breathing in, breathing out. Begin to step your way up to the top of your mat. Come into forward fold at the top of the mat this time. Take a few moments there. Inhaling fingertips to the shins, lengthen the heart forward. Exhale, refold. Inhale, fingertips to the shins, halfway lift, and then hands walk to the waist, pressing into your heel bones, stand up nice and tall. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Relax the arms down alongside the body, let the palms face forward. Just pause here for a moment at the top of your mat, let the eyes close down and bring all of the awareness into the soles of the feet. Feel the energy in your hands, in the length of your spine, in the legs. Feel the energy in the feet. Moving on, breathing in, stretch the arms out wide, reach them up. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your right foot back. Let your right knee come down to the mat. Inhale, stretch the arms forward and up. Exhale, palms down. Step into your high plank. In your high plank, bring your knees down, come to your forearms, and then lift your knees again, forearm plank. Move the heels off to the right. Inhale through center. Move the heels off to the left. Inhale through center. Lower the knees, the hips, the belly. Inhale and Sphinx. Exhale the palms underneath the shoulders. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Breath in. Breath out. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, right foot forward. Plant the foot between the hands. Set your left knee down. Inhale, stretch the arms forward and up. Exhale, palms down. Frame out that foot at the top of the mat. Step your left foot forward to meet the right. Inhale here, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Press through your heel bones, reach the arms forward and up. Exhale, fold right back in, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step your left foot back. Right back to where we just came from. Step that left knee down. Inhale, stretch the arms forward and up. Exhale, plant the palms. Step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward, high plank. Set the knees down, come to the forearms. Lift the knees again, forearm plank. Exhale your heels to the left this time first. Inhale, back through center. Exhale your heels off to the right. Inhale, back through center. Bring the knees back to the mat, belly down. Inhale in Sphinx. Exhale, palms underneath the shoulders. Make your way eventually back to down dog. So remember, you can always choose to pass through that active child pose if you like. Deep breath in here. Deep breath out. From downward facing dog, bend the knees, lift the heels, take the gaze slightly forward. Choose how you'd like to make your way to the top of your mat. You can step, you can hop, you can float. Once you're at the top of your mat, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Press through the heel bones, reach the arms forward, stand all the way up. Exhale your hands to your heart. One just simple, straight up Surya Namaskar A, Vinyasa flow. Inhale, arms stretch forward and up. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping or hopping if you like into high plank. In your high plank, you can choose to move through chaturanga or bring the knees down, lowering onto the belly for low or medium cobra. On your exhale, choosing maybe that active child's pose or right to down dog. Your choice, your practice. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Take your time getting there. And then we'll start to put some of the elements of the preparatory poses together into a flow. Start with the right leg from downward facing dog. Inhale, sweep your right leg high. Exhale, shift forward, right foot wide out to the right side. Tap those toes down. Press into your hands, lift the hips and the right leg back up towards the sky. Exhale, sweep the right thigh on top of the left hamstring. Let it be heavy for a moment. And then bring those inner thighs together. Move that right ankle to the left Achilles tendon. Cinch up the inner thigh. Shift forward into this variation of high plank with the ankles crossed. Keep that. Rolling towards your right hip. You're coming to the inner border of your left foot. Reach that left arm high. Back to high plank. Lift the hips up. Still on this right side. Inhale, re-extend the right leg. Exhale, pull the right knee towards the left elbow. Thread that right leg through. You're going to roll towards your right hip, kind of settle that right hip toward the mat. Reach the left hand back towards the back of the left leg. And then pressing into your right hand, both feet, lift up through the hips, sweep the left arm high overhead. Yeah, replant that left palm, come back to downward facing dog. Still on the right side. Inhale, right leg again. It lifts up and back. Exhale, shift forward, right knee into the chest. Bring the right foot up in between the hands. Set your left knee down to the mat. Walk your hands up to that right thigh. Just take a moment here, pressing into the feet. Left toes, curl them under. Press into the ball mound of your left foot. Press into the sole of your right foot. Hands can come to the waist or to the heart, or reach them up and overhead, whatever feels most stable. And then see if you can press that left leg straight. So lift the left knee up into crescent lunge. Now extend the arms up and overhead if you haven't already. Breathe in here. Breathe out, open up into warrior two. So you're just pivoting that left heel down, arms come wide. And sometimes it feels nice to keep a wider stance between the feet, but in my warrior two, I like to walk my right foot in towards the middle of my mat more. So find that stance with your feet that feels comfortable. Now we're going to move our warrior two from the top of the mat to the back of the mat. So inhale, straighten out that right leg, lift the arms, pivot the feet, warrior two at the back of your mat. Settle in so that left knee is pointing towards the back of your mat. Now right foot, edge of the foot's parallel with the top of your mat. Let's just pass between these two shapes. Inhale, straighten out the left leg, reach the arms overhead. Pivot your feet first, warrior two, top of the mat. And now adding on the arms, so flip the palms to face the ceiling as you breathe in and lift the arms overhead. Transition the feet and legs. Warrior two, back of the mat, palms flip down as you settle into warrior two. Try that once more all the way through. Flip the palms to face the ceiling. Transition with the feet. Warrior two, palms face down as you descend into warrior two, top of the mat. Palms face the ceiling. Breathing in, reach the arms overhead. Transition the feet. Palms face the floor. Transition warrior two, back of the mat. Inhale, reach the arms long overhead, straighten out the legs, bring the feet to parallel, hands to the waist. And just settle in here for goddess stance. So you're halfway between those warrior twos. Bend the knees, bring the heels slightly forward and in, toes turned out. Bring the hands down to the thighs, add a little bit of weight there. Yeah. So hands are resting on the thighs. Take a big breath in through the center. On your exhale, dip that left shoulder down, look over the right shoulder. Inhale back through center. Exhale, dip the right shoulder down, look over the left shoulder. Inhale back through center. Press into your feet, stretch the arms up towards the ceiling, straighten out through the legs. Warrior two to the top of your mat. Bring those hands down, frame out the right foot. Step into high plank. And from your high plank, you can choose to move through some sort of vinyasa flow. It's giving you a lot of different options today. Forearm plank variations. There's always cat and cow. There's the traditional chaturanga, up dog, down dog. So the point is, I give you these things to try on so that you get to explore what you like, what's helpful in your body, what makes sense to you, and know that that just might change on a day-to-day basis. It might change on a minute-to-minute basis. So you get to modify and try new things in your body. All right, we get to do all of that plus just a little bit more on the second side. Start by inhaling and sweeping up that left leg towards the ceiling. Exhale, shift forward, left foot taps wide out to the side. You're in that high plank variation. Pressing into your hands, re-sweep the left leg up, lift the hip. Left thigh settles on top of right hamstring, let the leg be heavy. And then cinch up the inner legs, bring the left ankle on top of the right Achilles tendon. Squeeze those legs together nice and tight. Keep that, shifting forward into high plank. Your high plank rolling towards that left hip. You're coming to the inner border of your right foot. Right arm reaches towards the ceiling. Deep breath in. Breath out, right hand down. Hips up and back. Uncross the ankles, down dog. Re-extend left leg towards the ceiling. Shifting forward, left knee towards the right elbow. Extend that left leg through like you're threading the needle with the leg. So that left hip's gonna kind of release towards the mat. You're on the left hand, right arm's reaching back towards the right foot. Press into both feet and the left hand, sweep the right arm up and overhead, lift the hips. And then exhale, kind of relax that left hip towards the mat. Right hand moves back. Try that twice more, pressing into the left hand, lifting the hips, sweeping that right arm high. Exhale, relax that left hip a little bit. And then again, once more, sweep the hips high, right arm up and overhead. And continue, reach the right palm, right back down underneath the shoulder, plant those two hands, unwind your legs. Come back to downward facing dog. Moving on, still on that left side, sweep the left leg up and back. Shift forward, left knee into the chest. Move the left foot between the hands. Set the right knee down to the mat. Keep those right toes curled under. And then bring the hands up to that left thigh. And so get a sense of your left foot pressing down, the ball mount of your right foot nice and strong in contact with the floor. From here, can you press up to your crescent lunge? So you're extending the right leg. Now reach the arms up and overhead if you haven't done so already. Breath in here. Breath out, open up, warrior two. It's a little bit different variation, warrior two legs, but we'll move into a really active side angle. So maybe you watch if it's confusing for just the first round. Left arm's gonna sweep towards the top of your left mat. Right arm sweeps overhead like you have this giant beach ball and you're trying to like pass it off to somebody that's on the other side of your mat. So left knee stays bent. And then with the beach ball in your hands, bring it up towards the ceiling, straighten out the left leg, transition the feet just like you did before, back of the mat, reach that right arm towards the back of your mat, left arm overhead, you still have your beach ball. You're staying really active and engaged through that left side body right here. Now straighten out both legs, reach the arms overhead, pivot the feet, left toes point forward, bend the left knee. So this active side angle, you have this beach ball between your hands. Try that a couple of times. Reach the beach ball overhead, transition the feet, bend the right knee. Use your breath to transition. Maybe once you settle, you exhale. One more time towards the back of your mat. And then we'll meet in center, hands at the waist, pivot the feet to face one another. Then start to turn the heels in, toes out, bend the knees, come back to goddess. So this time, hands to the inner border of the legs. So you're starting to take the hands down along the inside of the calf. Maybe the hands wrap around the inside of the ankle. So add a little bit of pressure if it feels accessible or tenable of the elbows pressing into the inner legs or wherever the elbows resting. My elbows are kind of resting on the inner knee, forearms on the inner calf, hands on the inner ankles. Deep breath in here. You can let your head relax. Deep breath out. And then continue into Prasarita Padottanasana. So bring your hands down to the floor underneath your shoulders. Kick your heels out so that the feet become parallel. Draw the chest and the belly down towards the floor. You might walk the hands back in between the feet. Really any version of this wide-legged forward fold that you like. Take a few moments here. On your next inhale, walk the hands back underneath the shoulders, lengthen out through the waist, through the spine. Press into your feet, hands walk back to the waist. Stand back up. Back through your warrior two, left toes forward, top of the mat. Arms out wide. Bring the hands down, frame that left foot out. Option to move through a final vinyasa flow here. If you're done with vinyasa flows, no big deal. We'll meet in a child's pose. If you are moving through vinyasa, take your time with that. Take your time. Let's take about 3 breaths in child's pose. Now 1 more breath in. Breath out. Start to come up to a seated position briefly. We'll have a little bit of an arm balance practice. We did this on Tuesday, and things are always really hard when you try them the first time around. And as we build muscle memory, that's why repetition is so helpful. Things become so much more easier. So if this is your first time doing this arm balance, it's an odd one. Just if frustration comes up, that's okay. Allow it, acknowledge it, but try it anyways. And that doesn't mean that you have to get into the shape, otherwise you've failed. It just means try it and see what happens. All right, so this is called grasshopper. So it's kind of like we start out in this, like you're seated with your feet forward, taking the left leg over the top of the right thigh. I always get this backwards. Okay. Just watch first and then we'll do it together. So left leg is extended forward, right foot over the top of the left thigh. Right hand's gonna kind of nestle to the inner right knee and reach for the big toe. So my 2-piece fingers, I'm hooking my big toe. And then my left hand, I'm gonna start to roll onto that hip. And my left hand, my left arm's kind of like as if I were coming into chaturanga. So the base of this shape is my right foot, my left hand. And I'm gonna see if I can press down and maybe look like this is a great place to start to work. 2-piece fingers hook around the big toe, and maybe you practice moving the weight forward and then seeing about maybe possibly one day picking up that hip. So the weight's on the right foot and the left hand, kind of like a little chaturanga arm. So some of you I think are already trying it, great, go for it. And if you haven't yet, maybe start to cross that right foot over the left thigh. That right foot's gonna be your base, the left hand is your base. 2 right peace fingers hooking the left big toe. And then keeping that elbow kind of close into chaturanga will help you kind of lift up through that left hip. Eventually, maybe not today. Something kind of weird and awkward to play with. Maybe try it once more. Maybe you're just working with the bind, the hand to the foot. That's a great place to work. You can practice just even picking up the foot from there with that bind. Don't even worry about the hips just yet. Okay, so let's release out of that side. Take the hands back behind the hips. Square both of your hips on the mat, bend your knees, and sway your knees side to side. So just let that go. Practice letting it go. If you felt like it was successful, acknowledge it, let it go. If you felt like it was hard and you hated it and you're annoyed, great. And now practice letting that go. So I'm going to turn around to face the other direction now. Now this time the right leg extends forward. This time the left foot steps over the right thigh. Right hand's kind of like in chaturanga. Left hand, you're getting it close to the inner border, or left tricep. You're getting it close to the inner border of your left knee, hooking the 2 peace fingers around the big toe. So maybe you're just working with this setup first, and you're playing with rolling a little bit more weight onto the right hip, and you're playing with lifting and lowering that lever of the right leg. Or maybe you see about transitioning a little bit of weight into the right hand, the left foot. Maybe you pick up and lower down. Maybe it's like an inch or a millimeter, or maybe it's an energetic lift, like you're thinking light thoughts. Notice your breath as you're doing this. We have a tendency when we're doing hard things to forget about the breath, stop breathing. When you're done with that, you're done with that. But if you want to give yourself a couple of more times to try it, you can. Otherwise, let it go. Hands back behind the hips. Sway the knees side to side. And then start to walk down to your forearms if you're coming with me. Continue to sway the knees side to side. And then keeping the knees bent and moving right to left, come down onto the back. You can stretch your arms out wide. So see if you can keep your feet wider on your mat. Feet wide, like maybe the width of the mat. Next time, knees move off to the right, pause there with the feet wide. Option here to take that right ankle on top of the left thigh. If that does not feel good on the knees or the hips, just release that right ankle back to the mat. If it feels okay, start to let the body be heavy. Start to let the breath deepen. And start to transition into a slower pace, longer holds, a more cooling yin-like element to our practice. Take about 3 breaths here. If you have the right ankle crossed on top of the left thigh, slowly release that. Bring the knees back up towards the ceiling. Plant both of your feet, adjust the hips so that they feel centered. Pause, let your knees draw in towards one another. Just breathe here for a few moments. Just pause. Now, both knees off to the left. Keep your feet wide. With your knees off to the left, you can choose to stay just as you are, which is a great place to be, perfectly fine. If you do want a little more, you can cross that left ankle on top of the right thigh. And keep coming back to your breath. Continue to soften the muscles. Continue to deepen the breath. Notice the head, neck, and the shoulders. If there's any tension there, can you consciously bring your awareness to it? Take a breath. Practice releasing. Three breath cycles here. If you have that ankle crossed on top of the thigh, nice and slow, release it. Start to transition the knees back up towards the ceiling. Begin to hug the knees into the chest, wrapping your arms or your hands around your shins. Squeeze your thighs into your belly. Maybe add a little bit of movement, that might feel nice. Keep relaxing the back of your head and your shoulders. You can turn this into happy baby by reaching the hands up to hook around the feet or the backs of the calves or the backs of the knees. And you can choose to move in your happy baby side to side, just like in your Upanasana. You can choose to extend the legs out wide, one at a time. Just like a baby has a natural sense of curiosity, you kind of embody that right here, right now. Take as much time as you need here. Begin to think about how you want to set up your Shavasana today. I'll give you the next minute to head in that direction and settle. So if that means for you taking your Shavasana back to bed, that's totally fine. Legs up the wall, any kind of support, any kind of props. That might even mean taking a seated meditation. If that's something that you prefer. The body does tend to cool down quite a bit in Shavasana, so if you need any extra layers, maybe add socks or an extra blanket. In your Shavasana, begin to feel your shoulders move away from your ears. Your chin slightly tilt towards your chest just to lengthen out the back of the neck. Taking a big breath in through the nose. Open your mouth, exhale the air out. Feel the weight of the body settle, settle. Feel the weight of the body become heavier and heavier. In your residual tension, let it release with each exhalation. Nothing left to do. Just allow yourself to be. If you've come to a place of peace, feel free to stay in Shavasana as long as you like. You're ready to start to reawaken. Slowly bring your awareness back to the body, back to the breath. Adding gentle movement to fingertips and toes. Head moving side to side. On an inhalation, sweep the arms long overhead, breathing into the length of the body. Point the toes away from the face. On an exhalation, bend the knees, roll off to a side, fetal position, Take one full breath cycle there. Continue press into your hands. Rise up to a final comfortable seat. Let your seat be supported. In your supported seat, I invite you to join me for these last few moments with our mudra, right hand on bottom, left hand on top, locking the fingers together, resting the hands in the lap, softening through the elbows, relaxing the shoulders. Feel the strength of the body, the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body. Thinking about what maybe your definition of strength is, and can you allow it to be vulnerable, emotional, conscious? Take 3 breaths here. Resting in your own internal awareness. What do you feel in this moment right now? How do you feel? Joining your hands together at your heart, and saluting the infinite wisdom of the heart space, Anahata. Bringing your thumbs up to your third eye center, resting your thumbs on your forehead, saluting Sahasrara, your consciousness, your intuition, your internal knowing. We offer gratitude for the practice with reverence to all of our teachers, past, present, future, to the teacher within your own heart. Namaste.